All right, welcome back to the channel. So Jaron Ennis destroys Sergey Lipinets, and in my opinion, proves that he can probably beat Terence Crawford and will absolutely dominate Virgil Ortiz right now. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So Sergey Lipinets, man, looked like he got his behind whooped by Jaron Ennis last night in a fight that I was really looking forward to. Has not been a lot of really good fights so far this year. Over the last couple years, the fights have been kind of, for American boxing, have been backloaded towards the second half of the year. But in April, we get a really good one on Showtimes last night with Jaron Ennis and Sergey Lipinets. And they were fighting for what is not a real belt, but I'll take it as it applies to Jaron Ennis, because seriously, man, I think this guy is definitely the cream of the crop when it comes to these prospects in boxing. And I've looked at them, I've watched them all, I've watched their fights, and I just have to say, man, that I think Jaron Ennis is better than all of them. Just of all the fighters that are like 23, 22, 21, the Ryan Garcias, Devin Haney's, Teofimo Lopez's, those guys, I'm telling you, man, Shakur Stevenson is kind of the jury's out on Shakur Stevenson a little bit because he has not really gotten his step-up fight yet. But maybe if I set aside Shakur Stevenson for a second, man, everybody else I've seen, just hands down for me, is Jaron Ennis as far as who has the best upside and really who could be the next dominant boxer in, the next dominant guy in the sport of boxing. The reason why I say that is that Jaron Ennis pretty much has everything you need, man. His defense in that fight was just, man, a lot of people are going to look at the knockout and the fact how he got him out of there. But if you pay attention to his defense and just how even the shots that you think he got hit cleanly with, if you watch him on replay, you'll see he rolled them. Like, oh, and that's why he went right back to throwing hands. People are like, oh, he's got a really good chin. I don't know. He still hasn't been hit flush yet, because I don't think he got hit flush in that fight. I thought he got hit, definitely, but his reflexes and how he rolled his chin with that punch pretty much took everything off the punch. And then when he did that, he came right back. There was also moves that he made defensively, like that led to the knockout, where he slips, where Lipinets throws a right hand. He slips on the inside. He slips to his right, Jaron Ennis' right up underneath it, blocks the counter shot, which was going to be the right hook, because he's so close to him that Ennis can't throw, that Lipinets couldn't throw the punch. And then he steps out to the side. Lipinets frustrated because he's like, man, how did that dude get over there? Right? Then he adjusts and he's like, he ploddily adjusts, and then he gets hit with a three-piece and he's up out of there. All of that came up off of defense. His clean and effective punching. The shots that led to the knockout, they came clean through that guy's guard. Like, he had a high guard. The uppercut came right between the gloves of the high guard. Then the left hook came right around the guard that he had here, cleanly right here. Then when he wobbled him and he's following down, boom, left hybrid hook uppercut, bop, knocks him back down that way. Literally beat him up this way, knocked him down that way. Clean and effective punching. Ring generalship. In and out of the ring. He could fight. He did and went wherever he wanted, whenever and however he wanted. Lipinets would get him up against the ropes. He'd be out of the ropes any way he wanted to get out of those ropes. And then the effective aggressiveness, how he was not just being aggressive in throwing a bunch of wild punches, but his jabs to the body were just pressing him to the body. Boom, boom, boom. Effective aggressiveness. He's being aggressive, but he's not just swarming the guy with a ton of punches. He's being very, very precise with his punches and consistently being aggressive. Even on defense, he will switch from offense to defense to effective aggression in a heartbeat. I just think the guy's an excellent fighter, and he was in there against a guy that is a tough fighter. I don't think anybody should say that this performance by Jaron Ennis was anything less than spectacular because of how he did it, the way that I described, and The fact that he did that against Sergey Lipinets, that is a tough test. He is what you call a gatekeeper, a high-level gatekeeper. If you are not somebody that is really on the championship level, you're going to have a lot of difficulties with Sergey Lipinets because he's very, very tough. He's fundamentally sound, right? He's a strong fighter, and he takes a good punch. He's just an all-around a very good fighter, but not the level of fighter that obviously that an Errol Spence Jr. or a Terence Crawford or a Sean Porter is, but still, he's that level of fighter that if you get past him, now you're at the level with the rest of these guys. And the way that Jaron Ennis made that so one-sided, I really can't believe that there's any other fighter at 147 that's going to beat Sergey Lipinets any more convincingly than Jaron Ennis did and just completely outclassed the guy. I mean, seriously, Sergey Lipinets literally looked like he didn't belong in the ring with Jaron Ennis, and it was just an unfair fight from a skill perspective. When you add the size to it, that's something else. But just the skill, if Jaron Ennis was the same size as him, he might beat him just as bad, right? May have a little bit of more difficulty because of the size difference, but skill-wise, the gap is just so huge that, it just made it was a mockery, even though the guy is a high-level fighter, and that was a tough competition that could have gone the distance if Jaron Ennis didn't have so much power. And that's the other thing about his effective aggressiveness. He has so much power that it makes his aggression even more effective. I'm telling you, I'm just really, really big on this guy, man. So what does that mean for Jaron Ennis moving forward? I think he's at the championship level. So much that I joke that, hey, man, let's count the IBO belt now. You know what I'm saying? Because Terence Crawford, I think, is gonna hold that. Terence Crawford and Top Rank, I absolutely believe, are colluding to dominate the welterweight division with their fighters moving up to from 140 to 147. And because most of the guys that are the top of the weight class are gonna age out. They're either gonna weight up or they're gonna age out. They're all, over 30 years old. And you have Virgil Ortiz and Josh Taylor, I think, is also like 28 or 29. And Jose Ramirez might be 27. But you get my point. Those guys are going to keep fighting, but they're going to move up in weight. Those older fighters, if they keep fighting, more than likely, they're going to either have hard time making weight or they're going to move up in weight. So the plan, I believe, because it came out of Bob Arum's mouth, is that they're just going to wait on Errol Spence Jr. to move up. Then when all those belts are vacated, then Bob's going to position his fighters in those sanctioning bodies to get shots at those titles. And they're going to be fights where his fighters are favored to win and most likely will win, right? So where does that leave Jaron Ennis? That leaves Jaron Ennis at 147 with Bob Arum with a bunch of belts not wanting to fight him. So I am just like, no, dude, we've got to really press the gas on this and let people know. No, man, if you're going to praise Teofimo, and Teofimo Lopez definitely deserves praise because of all those young fighters, Teofimo Lopez has the best win over Vasily Lomachenko. But if you move up Jose Ramirez to 147 and let Jaron Ennis fight him, you're gonna see Jose Ramirez get beat up, right? And Jose Ramirez would have been an undefeated fighter, multiple weight class division winner. Let's see the guy Jaron get the opportunities to fight him. The sad thing is, though, that it looks like the way Top Rank is going, they know exactly who Jaron Ennis is and knows that the likelihood of their guys beating him is well below 80%. In fact, the best fighter they got, I think Terence Crawford is a 55-45 fight for Jaron. I just think Jaron Ennis is better at everything that Terence Crawford is good at. And on top of it, he doing that same style is a pressure fighter. And he will pressure you with a jab, a strong, stiff jab to the stomach, followed by one to the head, right? He has a jab that Terence Crawford doesn't have. So I think if Virgil Ortiz, put it this way, if Robert Garcia is comfortable that Virgil Ortiz has what it takes to beat Terence Crawford, then I, off of the judgment of Robert Garcia, will tell you I believe Jaron Ennis does too. Because Jaron Ennis is going to mop Virgil Ortiz. Point blank, period. It's just a better fighter, man. And that's some of the problems we're going to have in boxing. I was on my live stream, and somebody was like, oh, this is another example of you just looking for a black fighter that can beat a Mexican fighter. No, this black fighter can beat all the black fighters too. It's just what it is. He will beat them too. So I'm not trying to pick on Virgil Ortiz, but Virgil Ortiz is in the weight class and he's the same age as the guy and he's going to be looking for belts. So there's nothing that's not unfair about saying, no, I want to make sure Jaron Ennis actually gets an opportunity to fight for these belts and he doesn't get Guillermo Rigondeaux'd and blackballed and not be able to get fights because he would win the fights because the media is not going to do anything but back up Top Rank and then just criticize Jaron Ennis for the fights that they're preventing him from getting. But that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.